All right, I know we got a number of folks that are going to be getting started, but we're going to get started right now. And Laurel, can you hit the record button so we can get started?
We're recording.
Oh, okay. It's okay, sounds good. All right, so I want to welcome everyone to our fleet electrification webinar. My name is Antoine Thompson, Executive Director of the Greater Washington Region Clean Cities Coalition. We're excited that you can be here and be a part of this great event, which is sweeping across the globe, not even the country, around vehicle electrification. We promote clean energy, alternative fuels, clean transportation, environmental justice and equity. We do a lot of advocacy in this space to promote alternative fuels and clean energy and transportation. And we have a lot of different workshops and seminars as well. So this is going to be a great event. We have an amazing panel for you today and some really fantastic experts. And so they're going to do a phenomenal job just making sure that I turn the phone off here so it rings outside. And so we're really looking forward to that, to this event today. We will have a series of webinars and also in-person events around fleet electrification. We're also working on a project with the Environmental Defense Fund as well around fleet equity, and that we'll have some webinars around that going into the second or third quarter of this year. So look forward to those equity webinars that we'll be doing with the Environmental Defense Fund later in the year. I want to just mention a few things. One is the GWRCCC opening reception will be coming up on February 22nd. So look for that announcement. Save the date, February 22nd, 6 to 8 p.m. in Washington, D.C. So you'll get a formal announcement on that. We're always looking for sponsors for that event as well. And we'll put that link for the becoming a member as well in the chat. I'll talk about that in a second. May 17th through May 17th, we'll have a virtual policy conference, which will talk about a number of the local and state issues in DC, Maryland, and Virginia as we look at how we get additional funding for clean energy and clean transportation and all the various fuels that we support in the alternative fuel space, and some of the zoning and other policy things that are really important to us. On May 18th, we'll have our golf outing at the Presidential Golf Course. And we have I think two of our co-chairs, or at least one of our co-chairs is on, Louisa MacDonald and Pedro Layton. I don't see Pedro on here today, but it's a beautiful golf course. We are always looking for folks to help sponsor the golf outing as well. We will also have some alternative fuel vehicles out there as well. Everything from e-bikes to different light to heavy duty trucks and equipment we'll have on display at the event, and you'll actually be able to drive a few of them too. So that's going to be really excited on May 18th. The last thing I want to mention is the becoming a member of Greater Washington Region Clean Cities. I will put this in the chat as well. We have a lot of great activities, and we want to make sure that everyone, because I see a lot of folks on this call today that are not members of this great organization, and we work hard, and we appreciate all the folks who are members. If you're not a member, please join today. We got some exciting things coming up this year, and some things will be for members only as well. And so you need to become a member, and it doesn't cost much. We offer a lot of technical support for fleets. We do consulting, provide consulting services, project management services, letters of support. If you're applying for a federal, state, or local grant, we love to partner with you on that. There's a boatload of funding that's available at the local, state, and federal levels, and we love to partner with you on that. If you're doing community engagement, if you're working on ESG and sustainability and climate goals, we love to partner with you on some of those efforts as well. I want to just also give a quick plug, shout out to some of our board members. I don't see everyone, but I want to recognize we have a couple that's on our board with Jim Dankowski, who I'll introduce in a moment. I do Louise MacDonald, who's a longtime member of our board and organization. I see Denise Everson, who I recognized earlier, and I can't go through all of this, but I will recognize more of them as we go. I did see Cheryl Pons, who's new to our board as well, and I'll recognize more of them as we move along. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce our presenters. Before I do that, I just want to say two quick things. One of the things that, as we talk about fleet electrification, planning is so important. And the people are also very important. I often hear folks that think that all they have to do is buy an electric vehicle, get a charger, and spend a few minutes training the staff. There's so much more to that. I hope that after today, you will see that. Hopefully you will reach out to some of these experts who can help you through the process, whether it's buying the vehicle, putting the infrastructure in place, getting the equipment, or helping to train your staff. We're also going to have a three-part series this year on getting your workers ready for electrification, which is equally important because people matter. So without further ado, I'll save my other point to the end. I'd like to introduce our speakers. First, we have on my sheet right here is Jim Eaton. Dankowski is leading the effort for development implementation of strategic plan to address the American Rescue Act and Infrastructure and Jobs Act and the Inflation Reduction Act for his company. He has been oversees strategic planning, the value proposition, development, customer engagement for the segment with over 41 years of experience in electric power distribution and control industry. His knowledge has delivered unique and creative solutions that support Eaton's clients with their energy initiatives and facility systems optimization. Prior to this, he held management positions with Eaton and Westinghouse as an electrical utility sales manager. He has been an active member of our organization for 12 years. He actually was chair of the executive board from 2011 to 2018, and is a big supporter of this organization, has received a number of distinguished awards. Chance Parker is a graduate of Colorado State University in business marketing. He's a Northeast Regional Sales Manager for Lightning eMotors. He works with Lightning, trying to grow their dealer network, authorized partners, and directly works with fleet operators to develop and implement comprehensive, fully integrated fleet electrification transition plans. He has been with prior to that, in late 2021, when he joined, Chance spent the last 15 years in high performance building design and construction management, resiliency, and lead certification. Louise MacDonald is the president of AutoFlex Fleet, a GSA scheduled federal fleet contract holder for 25 plus years. AutoFlex Fleet was incorporated in 1987. Mr. MacDonald is a charter member of the Federal Clean Cities Program and a charter member of the GWRCCC Board of Directors, and he currently serves as the treasurer. So he will also say, donate your time, your talent, and your resources to the great work that we are doing. He's also, he's NAFA's first fleet industry seminars on implementing alternative fuel vehicle legislation during the 1990s. And he served as a military policeman at the end of the Vietnam era as well. And he's studied football and business administration, also Colorado State University. All right. So without further ado, we're going to get right into it. Our first speaker is Jim Dankowski, who is not only all over the country, but all over the world, leading these efforts to electrify fleets. Welcome, Jim. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Antoine. Really appreciate it. And if we can go ahead and put up the first presentation, if possible. Perfect. Thank you. You can go to the next slide. What I'm going to cover off today is I'm going to cover off a little bit about the impact, this historic impact, and Antoine and the members and the board at the Greater Washington Clean Cities Coalition have never seen anything like this before from the standpoint of the federal government investing in fleets and fleet vehicles and fleet infrastructure. So there's a tremendous opportunity for us, not only as a coalition, but as members to really participate and really integrate this type of fuel, the different types of fuel technology, as well as EV and EV infrastructure in today's world. So what I'm going to cover off real quick on a high level, this is the Investment Jobs Act, the IIJA, and some of what we reviewed from a Eaton perspective as high priorities in regards to where we could play. And I wanted to share this with you so that you understand that Eaton as a company, we provide not only products, but services to support infrastructure of EV, as well as other alternative fuel vehicles, but our focus today is on EV. And you can see just if you just look at the bubble chart, where a lot of funds are being spent today and how that can impact the standpoint of how fleets are deployed today, as well as the funds that are available and how they'll be available. Now, I want to slice this down a little bit for the audience, right? So if you could go to the next slide. So, missed a slide, I think. Not, there we go. So for the Maryland, Virginia, and District of Columbia, those states or those government entities are already implementing from the IIJA bill funding programs around grants to support EV and EV infrastructure. And in this PowerPoint, you can see that I've provided a brief description. With that said, I know this is going to be available to you, but those are also hot links that are that you can actually go on, click on it, and see exactly what's going on. And from the standpoint of what we're doing, is we're collaborating with Antoine and the Greater Washington Region Clean Cities Coalition and some of its members on addressing some of these opportunities to leverage a lot of these grants and the funds that are available in DC, Maryland, and Virginia. So this is just to make you aware where the funding is available and how to get to it, right? So you'll want to take a look at that, depending upon where your fleets are, specifically where they're located, and then take a hard look at, if you haven't already, where some of the funding and these grants you can apply for. And I know, Antoine, if you want to, I can stop here, but I know that Antoine and the Greater Washington Clean Cities Coalition has applied for some of these grants. And Antoine, if you want to comment a little bit about that before I move on to the next slide.
Yes, we have applied for probably around 4 or 5 of these grants with different stakeholders. The Vehicle Technology Office, for example, had a almost $100 million funding opportunity, and we are awaiting whether or not the 4 different grants that we are partners on were selected as well. there's a grant opportunity coming down for February 28th, which is a US DOT grant, which is called RAISE. We'd love to partner with some folks on that. The partner must be a local or state government, and that's another $100 million funding opportunity. So we've been linking up with the private sector folks, public sector folks, and nonprofit entities on applying for a number of funding opportunities. So we can play the lead, we can play a sub-recipient, we can do letters of support, a number of things to partner with you on these grants, because our goal is to bring as much of these resources into our local and regional communities.
Thank you, Antoine. And I'm going to put a plug in. If you're not a member, you should become a member. Let's just put it that way. Antoine's got some great insight and great reach into a lot of these departments and agencies that can help us help you. So please leverage the Greater Washington Region Clean Cities Coalition and get involved. So if we could go to the next slide, I want to give a brief update on the investment, the IRA and the investment tax credits. So this is, again, a little bit of what Eaton is tracking from the standpoint of what bill was signed into law and the investment tax credits. And I've just listed out 5 of them here, right? And we're actually in the process of monitoring how these are going to be deployed and utilized. With investment tax credits, normally we're waiting on the IRS to tell us basically how those tax credits can be applied by the owners. So just to kind of give you an idea of what's available from the standpoint of investment tax credits that you can utilize in leveraging your infrastructure and bringing down your overall cost. I mean, one of the areas that we're very interested in is, and I'll get into it in a little bit more detail, is the investment tax credits around integrating DER, distributed energy resources, such as battery storage, such as solar power, such as wind, to help offset the requirements for charging vehicles, right? So a lot of times what we're coming across is the utility. You may be going to the utility and saying, hey, I need additional power to be able to provide the required supply of electricity to basically charge my fleet. And they're going to say to you, they could say to you, well, hey, that's going to cost X amount of dollars because we got to drop in another substation. Well, there might be an opportunity to use solar power or battery storage on site to basically provide the power that you need and really bring that cost down. Then put on top of that, there's an investment tax credit to do that as well. So just to kind of give you a highlight of, there's some really outstanding opportunities in regards to the IRA bill and the investment tax credits that you as fleet managers can take a look at with your finance team and so forth to see whether or not that's applicable and whether or not that fits your overall strategy for integrating EV infrastructure at your facility. So next slide, please. So Antoine touched on this. All I'm going to say is that when it comes to integrating EV infrastructure, you have a lot of stakeholders. There's a lot of people that use power. So I guess the nice way to say it is, don't do this in a vacuum, right? Make sure that you've got the right people in discussions with you. That could be people from accounting and finance to make sure that you're crossing, dotting your I's and crossing your T's from the standpoint of the investment that you have to make. If there's an investment tax credit, what that cost offset may be. Think about if you have an energy manager, or if you have a facility manager who actually has ownership of that electrical infrastructure. Make sure that they're engaged and they're involved. And then finally, make sure you're talking to the drivers. Make them aware of what you're moving to, and maybe get some inputs from them. They may have some good ideas as to how they would like to see the fleet not only being used, but maybe the infrastructure as well. So this is just to kind of broaden your scope from the standpoint of how you're going to evaluate your the infrastructure required to support your EV fleet, right? So again, make sure that you've got all the stakeholders involved, because at the end of the day, you want to make sure that you're doing the right thing for your organization and the right thing for your fleet. Next slide. So just to kind of give you a broad scope, like I said, Eaton, we provide all the infrastructure products as well as the services in regards to helping support that transition from where you're at today to actually building out an EV infrastructure to support your fleet. And we can supply everything, not only from the chargers, but what's more importantly, as your loads increase, you're going to have to start to take a look at what does that do for the balance of my system. So that could mean adding additional electrical distribution equipment. It could mean adding additional software for controls. It could be adding battery storage or integrating DR. So from an Eaton perspective, we're looking at it from a holistic point of view. As the larger the fleet, the larger the power requirements, you got to start to take a look at, well, how am I going to integrate that into my current operating system? So this kind of gives you a pictorial as to how you might want to start to take a look at things from the standpoint of implementing an EV infrastructure to support your fleet. So next slide. So what do you do first? So this slide really is kind of a high level view of what steps you should take in regards to evaluating implementing EV infrastructure to support your fleet, right? So there's got to be a site review, and then you need a site assessment and a feasibility study. And what I'm suggesting here is there's companies like Eaton that'll do the site assessment and feasibility study and provide you a proposal at no cost, okay? So make sure that when you're stepping forward, you're working with a company that's going to work with you, right? And then from there, you do an on-site assessment. You would provide an order to that company. They would provide you with the on-site assessment, the feasibility study, and then they would walk you through, how that is going to be basically incorporated all the way to they're going to provide a design. You should have time to review the design. They're going to talk about timelines and schedules from the standpoint of how they're going to implement this over a period of time, because there's going to be construction involved. So these are just some basic steps. And we have a white paper that really goes into the details of this. We actually provided some guidance to the General Services Administration, very similar to this, as to how they ought to look at their fleet and electrifying their fleet with looking at their infrastructure and how they can support their users as well. So again, a very high level, but kind of this, we step you through the process of what you need to think about each step of the way. Next slide, Antoine. And this is just a brief snapshot. I'm not going to go over this. Hopefully in some of our follow-up seminars, we'll have more of a technical discussion about what should you be looking for from the standpoint of products or systems, as well as the services required around EV. But this is just a product portfolio of what Eaton can provide today. And we're continuing to expand out that portfolio. But as Antoine discussed, this is like a series, so we'll come back to you and we'll talk a little bit more technical down the road in regards to what you ought to be looking at from the standpoint of infrastructure and build out and how that would apply for supporting your fleet. Next slide. And this is just my contact information. I put a couple of links in here for the white paper, as well as how you might want to optimize your electrical system based on safely installing EV and EV structure and what the process is for that. So with that, Antoine, I'll turn it back to you.
Thank you. We'll have questions after our next two speakers. Thank you, Jim. A lot of great information. I was just looking at, I know some folks are interested in vehicle to grid, the ability to charge and have some of that excess power go back into your power system. Also, you piqued the interest about how to incorporate solar into your EV charging strategy as well. So we've got a lot of great sessions we will do around this. This is a growing industry, so thanks for sharing that. Next, we'll go to Chance Parker. Chance, the floor is yours.
Greetings. Good morning, everybody. I just want to say thanks to Antoine and the GWRCCC for hosting this. Lightning eMotors has been a long time member and supporting sponsor. We recognize and appreciate the value Clean City Coalitions provide in the form of education, awareness, outreach, and advocacy, along with networking. So if we could get the next slide deck queued up, that would be great. Just to let some people know, Lightning eMotors has been focused on specializing in the design, engineering, manufacturing, and development of integrated fleet electrification strategies and services, specifically with Class 3 through 7 commercial electric vehicles. Next slide, please. So just a quick plug, and we'll move on to some best practices, do's and don'ts. So just some additional context of who we are, what we do, and how we do it, right? We're here to really drive the transformation of Class 3 through 7 commercial fleets to zero emission vehicles. We've got some fairly audacious goals, positioning the company to basically be kind of the Cummins of the EV powertrain world. So by in the next 4 or 5 years, about a third of medium-duty commercial vehicles on the road will be powered by Lightning. And how we go about doing that is we deliver commercial EVs with class-leading technology, reliability, efficiency, performance, and speed to market. Speed to market is key because it's baked into our DNA and how we go to market. We have typically utilized proven and popular chassis that fleet owners and operators know, they like, and they can trust to provide those electric EVs. As mentioned, we offer fully integrated fleet electrification solutions. And at the end of the day, we provide exceptional customer service experience from first mile to last mile. And you may be saying, Chance, that all sounds great, but like, what's it to me? So next slide, we're going to get into it. So how we go about doing that and how everybody should be looking at this is solving the fleet electrification equation. So people consider, just fleet electrification, as Dan had mentioned, picking up a couple of EVs and throwing some chargers together. You can please advance all the way through this slide. There's some animation. But it's much, much more than that, right? So vehicles is just one component. There's infrastructure, there's software, there's service, there's incentives, and of course, there's financing. So these buckets basically comprise a broader fleet electrification transition plan. And that's really what we are in the industry are advocating for fleet owners and operators to really start to dive into and really start to develop this more comprehensive plan. So, taking a look at vehicles, right? That includes an existing fleet audit of your current inventory, use case, duty cycle, what type of vehicles, what type of applications, what type of upfitting. You've got infrastructure. First and foremost, you should be tied at the hip with your local utility. Everyone's recognizing that this is one of the longer lead time items in a project development for fleet electrification. Whether or not you need to drop in transformers, whether or not the utility has to do substation upgrades, this will all take time. So just make sure you're maintaining an open dialogue. All utilities have liaisons and program project managers that you can engage with. Absolutely critical component to fleet electrification. And then you really have to start to plan out your electric vehicle supply equipment, your charging infrastructure. What's the dwell time of your vehicles, route analysis, site layout, design? Are you going to open this up to public access? There's hardware, level 2, level 3 chargers, portable, mobile. Anton mentioned V2G, or more broadly, V2X. That can be V2B for buildings. That can be V2L for localized loads. Lots of different technology is quickly evolving, and the innovation is really enabling fleet owners and operators to leverage this new technology. So insulation, right? Measurement, verification, commissioning of your infrastructure. Also mentioned previously, this is a great opportunity to start to become a little bit more self-sufficient, a little more resilient on your site. Microgrids, on-site power generation, photovoltaic, battery storage. These are all things when you're developing your fleet electrification plan that you want to have conversations about, because this is the time to do it. Software, there's telematics on the vehicles, and there's charger management software. So you have to have a bridge and communication, compatibility between those two systems. Scheduling, time of use, demand load management, right? Integrating with your existing fleet software. Go with an electric vehicle manufacturer that has an open API, for example, right? So you can pull that data into a geotab, if that's what you're using, or other agnostic, third-party fleet management systems. Service, often overlooked, but absolutely critical in maintaining ultimately everybody's goal, which is uptime, right? So make sure that you're aligning your fleet electrification with partners, suppliers, and providers that can give you that support post-sales for both vehicles and chargers, warranty claims, local service centers, dealer networks, authorized service providers. And then there's the whole training part of it, right? So your partners in this fleet electrification plan should be able to provide your drivers, your owners, your managers, executive C-suite personnel, and as well as your technicians, the appropriate training that you either would like, desire, or that you need to keep these vehicles rolling. As Dan went into great detail, right, there are a lot of incentives out there. We kind of consider this the confluence of, perfect events. There's a lot of carrots in grants, rebates, and incentives, and there's also a big stick on the policy side. So it's all kind of coming together to drive this fleet electrification. And this fleet electrification transition plan is something that you have to start to build and develop in order to execute. So local, state, federal programs, chargers, utility rebates, even low carbon fuel standard credits and things like that. These are all monetary programs that are available to you, and you should get tied into these. And then, of course, later today, my friend Luis will talk about kind of bundling this all together, pulling it all together for financing. Are you looking for a capital, buy? Are you purchasing? Are you looking for lease options? Off-balance sheet transportation as a service, EV as a service. These are all very popular, very new kind of methodologies to minimizing upfront cost and enabling fleet owners and operators to make the transition. So try to boil the ocean a little bit, and these are the kind of the buckets of things you should really be paying attention to in developing your fleet electrification transition plan. So with that, we can move on a little bit. I'm going to focus on just the vehicle sides for a minute here. So in solving this electrification equation, right, let's talk about vehicles. You got to take stock. You got to know what you have. So conduct an existing fleet inventory audit, the age, mileage, condition, use type, fuel source, maintenance, operational costs. Good data in is going to equal good data out, and you're not going to be able to calculate a proper, cost benefit analysis until you really drill down on your existing overhead. What's the useful, serviceable life of your fleet assets, right? And then really a step further, what's your rollout for this fleet electrification? Nobody's going to go all in all at once, right? So how are you going to phase it? How are you going to stage it? And that's part of this electrification equation and this plan. For example, the FTA just opened up the window for their next round of low-no financing. A requirement for that program for public entities and transit agencies is that you have a fully baked, developed zero-emission transition plan.
Chance, if you could, just for the lay people that may not be as well versed on what that acronym was, could you share that? What low-no means?
Federal Transit Administration, low and no emission vehicle grant and incentive program. Low-no. They have kind of migrated a little bit more towards the no than the low emission, kind of eliminating some hybrid technology. There's still alternative fuels. We're all for an all above, kind of strategy at this point. So there's lots of different technologies outside of, my focus, our focus, perhaps battery electric vehicles that are also incentivized through some of these programs. And then just drilling down on your vehicle types, right? This is all stuff you should be able to rattle off, right off the cuff. What are your passenger requirements? ADA wheelchair seating, lifts requirements, cargo payload, power lift gates, side load doors. What are your range requirements? This goes back to really studying your route analysis and being able to optimize routes. We all know microtransit's a huge trend right now. Smaller vehicles, smaller dedicated routes, right? We're being more efficient. We're working smarter, not harder. We're not rolling 40-foot transit buses down every street with 5 or 6 people on them anymore. And then just confirming for the EVSE, confirming your duty cycles. Dwell time, do you have opportunity charging potential midday? In between routes, are you leveraging or taking advantage of public charging infrastructure? And then again, tying it into that utility engagement, right? What is your existing power capacity of your facility? But once you have peeled all back, and in consideration of those silos or those buckets that you all have to integrate, at the end of the day, the most critical component, in one word, of a successful fleet EV deployment is interoperability of your systems. So as Dan mentioned, don't design these things in a vacuum. Don't go out and procure your vehicles over here, grab some chargers over here, grab some software bolt-ons over here and expect everything to work. Next slide, please. And we can help with that, right? Lightning eMotors has a fleet planner. So you can actually, at your convenience of your own time, kind of toggle through any type of class 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 vehicle, passenger cargo. You can identify the environment of which the vehicle operates, how many passengers, flat, topography, altitude changes, handling, driving behaviors, shift durations, charging strategies, right? So we can kind of help assist with that autonomy with, autonomously with some of the technology and some of the tools that we offer. Next slide, please. So those tools are all predicated on real world data, right? This is not an algorithm that's just pulled together. We have last total all the way down at the bottom there from yesterday, almost 3.5 million customer EV fleet miles under our tires at this point, not counting our own demo fleets, R&D vehicles. So like this is literally where the rubber meets the road, right? So when you're looking at procuring commercial electric vehicles, there's some best practices and do's and don'ts, right? Make sure that you're looking at companies that are well established, right? That aren't just still in a prototype type of phase, that are fully productionized with their product, right? There's going to be initial cost and then total cost of ownership. Some people, we all know the saying, right? Long after the sweetness of low cost resides the bitterness of poor quality. That hits hard when your vehicles are down long after procurement because they're of a lesser quality. Does that OEM have significant deployments? What's their supply chain? What's their lead time? Do they have OEM support? Have they gone through certification and authorization approval programs with Ford or GM or other big companies? Are their products Altoona testing? This is actually required for federal FTA funding. Safety records, right? Take a look at their competitive landscape. Take a look at their strategic partnerships. What type of facilities do they have? Are they open, accessible? And ultimately, to our 3.5 miles driven and 6.4 million pounds of CO2 mitigated, do they walk the walk? Next slide, please. And walking the walk, I think now more than ever, really comes down to, you know, how we do business. I think we all realize that we've been outsourcing and offshoring American jobs and American production for far too long, and we've all just recently experienced, you know, the downfall and a lot of pain with that. So, Lightning eMotors is very proud. We stand very tall, being American-made, American technology, American jobs, and American hands building our vehicles. So if you're an American business that's based in the United States and you're selling your products and service in the United States, you should be in turn buying and supporting other American businesses. So this is I think is a critical component and something that sets a lot of different manufacturers and service providers apart. And that more or less concludes my quick talk. There's a couple more slides. I threw up also some links and some information that will ultimately be disseminated to the audience, and looking forward to some Q&A.
Thank you. Great, a lot of great information. You can go to 1,000 of these, and there's always something that you learn. So a lot of great information. I'm sure that folks are thinking through, even folks who have put some vehicles out there. We put in the chat just to see how you're coming along, if you've got electric vehicles in your fleet, and also put in the chat any help you might need as well, how we can be helpful. What are some of the things that you're thinking about as well that you need help with, so we can. And if you have any webinar ideas that you would like, say, hey, you know, we can use some information on that, put that in the chat as well. Next, we'll go to Luis MacDonald, veteran-owned, Hispanic-owned business. Has been providing electrical vehicles for over 20 years before it was fashionable. Luis, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Buenos dias, everybody. I've got a few PowerPoint slides. Is that available? Great. Listen, in the interest of time, I'm going to abbreviate my presentation because I do want to get some Q&A in this 1 hour webinar. You know, I do appreciate this opportunity to share our fleet leasing experience to help make the shift to fleet electrification. So I'm going to focus on a turnkey solution that needs to be on everybody's radar screen. Can I get next slide, please? Okay, great. Just about us. We've got 35 years in the fleet leasing industry, okay? We are SBA certified minority and veteran-owned leasing company. We have been a federal contractor. We've done business with state and local government and commercial fleets over those 35 years. And the federal GSA schedule contract began offering line items for the leasing of electric vehicles back in 2011. So we were one of the first to offer electric vehicles. It was about the same time they did a pilot program for charging stations too. And so we were involved with that as well. So we've got some experience there. Ooh, this is the wrong PowerPoint. Is there another one you have there, Antoine? I sent. Okay. Okay. Sorry about that. I had modified it and sent it this morning. I guess you didn't get it. Okay. Let me go off what I have since I'm trying to abbreviate this. We have been a GSA scheduled leasing contractor. We were the first to offer a commercial leasing contract to the Department of Defense that monetized federal electric vehicle tax credits. That was in 2016. And so we, I believe we won that competition. It was a competitive procurement. And I believe we won it because we were able to monetize the tax credits to reduce the cost of the lease payment. And so we feel very good about that. So we have experience in turnkey leasing that can offer OEM supplied EV, EVSE, install plan, and customer success management services under one fleet electrification contract. Okay. Next slide. Well, the next slide is not what I wanted to. Okay, just leave it at that one. Yeah. So in regards to the fleet electrification lease contract options, if you go to the bank or to the OEMs, they currently offer closed-end leasing, open-end leasing. There's dollar buyout finance leasing, municipal leasing, equipment lease financing. So they're interested in leasing your electric vehicle. However, they're kind of leaving the recharging up to you. So it's a lot of people are, financing, procuring electric vehicles, but the whole infrastructure side of it is a puzzle, right? And so there needs to be some solutions to support the market development of this emerging industry. Our experience in the federal market with the GSA commercial tax credit leasing is based on model year firm fixed line item lease rates. And this is a method of procurement that I encourage state, local government, even commercial fleets to start looking at, to develop a schedule or a catalog that would offer line item electric vehicles that are available. Okay. And so that the federal government for the first time this year came out with a new SIN 3361E, which allows for a turnkey type of contract where you can include the financing of the vehicles with financing of the charging stations, and you can as well include installation, maintenance plans, kind of a one-stop offering. And we believe that that is a feasible, cost-effective lease finance program for most fleets, okay? The program is available, or lease financing, our experience and what's available out there is for light duty, medium duty, and heavy duty vehicles. Obviously, each of those classes of vehicles have different requirements. Each fleet is unique. They have their own special requirements for their type of fleet, depending on their mission and mileage, et cetera. There's many factors that need to be considered. So you have to put together the what, where, when, and how to offer, a good, solid proposal quote that would be cost effective for the lease customers. I kind of want to, we got limited time here, so I am going to kind of turn this over to Q&A.
Did you want to do your last slide?
Yeah, well, what is that one? This is not the presentation. Go ahead.
Yeah, one more slide.
I think that was.
That might have been, okay.
I think we covered this in the two presentations with Jim and with Chance.
No problem. We have 10 minutes and
yeah, we got 10 minutes. So
yeah, so that's Luis's contact information. You can take a screenshot or he can put his contact information in the chat.
And that's our booth from the Fed Fleet Conference, and across from us was Eaton and Lightning eMotors as well. So
all right, great. Great. So we're going to go right into question and answers now. And so we'll take folks, if you have any questions, you can put it in the chat really quickly. I will start with the first question. The first question I was going to ask, Luis, the lease purchasing, is that available for local and state governments? I'm assuming it's automatically available for private sectors, but can local and state governments use that program as well?
Yeah, they have a municipal program where they're usually looking to own the equipment at the end of term. All right. So yeah, it's available. There's a lot of different terminologies for the different types of leasing programs that are available. But yeah, for state and local government, that is offered, and we've got the underwriters and the industry stakeholders that want to support this industry and have an appetite for the available tax credits and incentives that can also be capitalized and help reduce the cost. If local government, federal government, state government, they can purchase it, there's tax credits available, but leasing, we can offer it as a commercial leasing contractor and offer it to the customers, which they cannot do for themselves necessarily. So
let me ask each of the panelists, we'll lead with Jim on this, but each of you, if you can respond. There are a lot of incentives out there. Do any of you offer technical support or help your clients with filling out the paperwork, which can be very daunting for smaller governments, even bigger governments that are understaffed, or private entities that want to do this but may need some technical help, and also filling out all these different credits and grant paperwork, which can be very, not complicated, but sometimes very timely and tedious. Jim?
Yeah, so from an Eaton perspective, we can really help with putting together what I'll call the balance of plant system and provide the cost for the products, and we can then partner with like a Luis MacDonald on the installation, the Greater Washington Clean Cities Coalition. We can put that team together for you to address those grants. You just got to reach out to Antoine, myself, Luis, anyone within the coalition, and we can put that team together for you. Because to be quite candid, grants can be daunting. Antoine brings up a really good point, but I'll tell you, Antoine and his team, they're good at it. Okay, so leverage that. And again, I go back to, if you're not a member, become a member, because we like to work with our membership. So anyway, it can be done. We can put that team together.
Thank you. Thank you. Chance, did you want to respond to that, or Luis?
Yes, we sure do. We have grant and policy resources available to assist and support the application and obtainment of grants and resources. There's actually, I'll drop a link in the chat. Thank you.
Okay.
Hey, being part of the Clean Cities network and coalitions, it's been very helpful on some of our fleet electrification contracts. One we had in California at a Air Force base. They got the vehicles and the charging stations. They didn't have the money for installation. So we applied for a Clean Cities assistance for a grant that was available. They applied for it. We helped them with the application, and $275,000 to install the charging stations. So, and that was done within, 4 months or so. And so, yeah, there's putting this puzzle together, right? You need the hardware, the software, and the grants.
Yes, yes. Thank you for that. I want to take, I don't see any questions from the audience in the chat. So I will ask one more question. We'll give you all a closing comments. What is the biggest challenge that each of you have seen your clients experience in terms of barriers to implementing their fleet electrification, whether they're beginner, moderate, or experienced? What is the common theme that you see? We'll go.
I'll go.
Chance.
It's charging infrastructure, without a doubt. So it just requires the lead time. We can manufacture vehicles quicker than our fleet customers can get chargers in the ground ultimately.
Wow. Jim?
I can't disagree with that. And I think the other thing is, what we see is that when we do engage the opportunity for bringing in electric fleet and having the quote unquote the operational system to support it just isn't there. And a lot of times it's boiling down to power requirements to support that fleet, that electric fleet power requirements. So that seems to be one of the bigger challenges that we see is the power requirements and basically how are you going to bring that into your existing system? Thank you.
Luis, you want to do that really quickly, and if you can answer the question, in the chat. Any suggestions you want to tell companies who drive many miles and like EVs but thinks they are inefficient with mid-day charging?
Well, let me do the challenge here. Okay. The challenge from our perspective is that there's a need to train and educate contracting and procurement officers that have years of experience purchasing vehicles and equipment, okay? But now that the cost of electric vehicles and infrastructure is suddenly, leasing is the preferred method of financing. But the contracting officer and the procurement folks need to get some training and education on turnkey type of solutions that can be put into procurement language and issued for proposals and quotes. I think that's really something that's going to be necessary for this market to develop and grow. Okay.
Thank you. We only have 2 minutes left. Luis, you want to get the final word?
Well, real quick on that question, I think it was about range anxiety, and that's going to be persistent until we develop the infrastructure, and that's what this current administration is doing with the funding and the Congress with the money now that's going to be going out there to put in infrastructure charging stations, and that should reduce the anxiety that that question was referring to, I think.
Yes, and the technology is rapidly changing, so that's right. Great. So we have 1 minute left because I want you to come back. Let's give our virtual hand clap for all of our panelists. They did a phenomenal job. Let's give a virtual. Put your camera on. Let's give them a virtual hand clap. Thank you, thank you. We appreciate them.